I'm the first speaker and I will be sharing on how we are future-proofing our buildings and infrastructure in Singapore. Yep, so let us first start with some data on our existing building stock. So as you can see, currently about 33% of the buildings that undergo PSI are actually more than 30 years old. And in 10 years, this number is expected to double. So why is this of significance to us? Well, just like our human bodies, as we get older, we actually need to go for more regular checkups to make sure that we are still healthy, to make sure that nothing is wrong with us. This is the same for buildings. You need to regularly inspect them, maintain them, and keep them safe. So what happens if we don't do it? This is what happens. Catastrophic events that results in the loss of lives. So here are 3 incidents that occurred overseas where the buildings actually collapsed. And a similar theme is that this is a result of structural deterioration due to age and lack of maintenance. So after these events, they actually implemented certain inspection regimes to ensure that there is no repeat. And in Singapore, we actually have something that is very similar. In fact, we have 2 regimes. So we have the periodic structural inspection regime and the periodic facade inspection regime. The PSI was implemented in 1989, and all buildings except landed residential buildings have to be inspected, whether every 10 years or 5 years, depends on whether it's residential or non-residential. What about buildings which are for mixed use, such as the shophouse shown? Well, for this case, it's a 5-yearly PSI, the reason being that the first floor is used for commercial use. In 2022, we introduced the PFI to actually address the facade dislodgement risk. So this mandates the regular inspection of our external facade components, and since its implementation in January 2022 till December 2024, out of the cases that we have received, 10% of them had unsafe defects which were actually rectified timely and incidents were prevented. So as you can see on the screen, these are some of the defects that we were actually rectified. So moving on, for PSI, which many of us are familiar with, this was actually implemented in 1989, but over the years, we have enhanced it. In 2022, we expanded the inspection checklist to include the inspection for vulnerable building elements that we actually learned from our past cases. This actually also provides guidance on inspection of new structural materials and configurations. And in 2023, we introduced the differentiated PSI, and just last year, in 2024, the civil engineering infrastructures, such as our jetties and bridges, are now under our PSI regime. So what insight have we got through the PSI? Through this PSI, we actually realized that buildings in Singapore are safe, and most buildings are kept in reasonably good condition. About 7,000 buildings are inspected each year, and 1% of them actually shows that there are significant defects which require further investigation, but only this 1%. So what do we mean by extensive defects? So from studying these past PSI cases, these defects are actually a result of poor maintenance of old buildings. This poor maintenance actually results in building vulnerabilities. The reason being that owners actually do not take the initiative to conduct their off-cycle maintenance, whether to inspect them and to get the defects repaired. They actually rely only on the PSI. And what happens? When defects are identified, they use improper materials and methods of repair, and this results in the reoccurrence of defects. So what can we do and what should we be doing? We should be taking the initiative to detect defects early so that we can preemptively intervene. This allows us to repair them before they deteriorate to a state of where repair is very expensive. And of course, building owners have a part to play in all of this. You guys have to be more proactive when it comes to building maintenance. So currently today, we actually have tools to help us to detect defects early. We have drones to help to assess hard-to-access places, and we have scanning technology to inspect structural elements which are actually concealed. So in the market today, we have many tools, and today we have 6 vendors who will be demonstrating what we have. And of course, tools are only just tools. Their value is only realized when building owners actually use them. So building owners have a key role to play when it comes to keeping our existing buildings safe. And we actually advocate for that. So in 2022, we published this good practice guide on building maintenance. We hope that building owners can actually adopt these good practices into their building maintenance regime. And of course, we also constantly remind the industry that you need to regularly maintain your buildings. This is done through our circulars, and the latest of which was just issued in June last month. All in all, to keep our existing buildings safe, we need to take on a proactive approach. We need to actively manage this risk through a preemptive intervention with effective repair methods. We have to leverage on technology so that you can be more effective in what we do. And of course, building owners, you have a key role to play here. You actually need to be proactive when it comes to our building maintenance and do it regularly. I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.